Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a brand new video. Today we're doing transfers. I think we're going to try and do a transfer video maybe once a week. We'll talk about expiring contracted players at the club and future potential signings. So let's get into today's conversation. Okay, so the reason probably most of you clicked on this video is to hear what we have to say about Mr. Erling Haaland. Obviously, he's a player we've been linked with for quite a while. There is going to be weekly, probably regularly enough, updates on the future of this player. And it's kind of getting leaked now week by week as to exactly where he will go or where his future lies at Dortmund. So we got some updates today. Credit as always to City Extra. They got it from Sportbild via Sport Witness. It says Man City are getting hotter, in inverted quoted commas, for Erling Haaland, whereas Real Madrid are now getting colder, in inverted commas. The 75 million plus transfer fee is no problem for Man City, and neither is the high salary, with Mino Raiola asking for up to €50 million per year. Whew. The next tweet says the chances of Erling Haaland staying at Dortmund beyond next summer when his exit clause becomes active are extremely slim. Now, last week we kind of linked the Puma deal to Haaland and City's potential for signing him, and this week it's looking even more like he's going to leave Dortmund. I think we got some slight leaks last week, or someone was saying that he's told Dortmund he wants to move for a new challenge. And this whole getting hotter thing and Madrid getting colder thing is really good. I said at the very end of our video last week, Joe, when me and you talked about Haaland, that I do believe the 75 million transfer fee is absolutely nothing. I think City are more than happy to pay it. My only issue was his salary, the agent fees, etc. And I also kind of alluded to the fact that Puma may assist us on that front, but now today's tweet from Sportbild via Sport Witness is suggesting that the 50 million per year is absolutely no problem for City, or they're happy to do it. Now, I actually don't know how reliable these sources are, but people seem to believe they're fairly credible. What are your thoughts on this? It does seem quite positive.
It's very positive, but it's still very early on. We're going to get loads of updates because it is approaching January, and while his release clause doesn't activate until the summer, it's about time that these questions are being asked. I think the whole part about Madrid getting colder is because they're getting more and more confident about Mbappe not signing a new deal at Paris. And I think Paris are our biggest competitors when it comes to signing Haaland, especially if they lose Mbappe. So money will definitely not be an issue for them because they're willing to pay whatever for whoever. You saw that in the summer with the amount of free agents they signed on high wages. But yeah, I mean, the news there is saying that the 50 million a year for his agent, Raiola, wouldn't be an issue is massive. If that's not an issue, then I don't see how we don't get him.
Yeah, 50 million per year is allegedly what Mino Raiola is asking for, and it says that City aren't phased by that high salary. When you talk about PSG there for a sec, my only issue with possibly signing Haaland was PSG coming in and competing directly with us for his signing. But now that it's suggesting, or at the moment, like, you have to bear in mind, lads, before we go on, there's going to be updates and fake updates and real updates every single week. Next week, they could say City have no interest in paying the 50 million. We don't know. But as it stands, we're led to believe that City are happy to pay it. PSG would be our only direct competition to pay 50 million. Now, the likelihood of Haaland going to PSG, I think, is quite slim. I mentioned last week players with ambitions and prospects and wanting to achieve big things in their career. I think a smart man like Haaland, with a father like Alfie Haaland, who played for City, who would know exactly the direction Manchester City Football Club is going in, will realise the project at City, the Premier League, is much more exciting and a much bigger project to work for or towards than the French league. Let's be real, I don't think it's even the top 5 leagues in Europe. Now, there obviously is the attraction of playing with Messi and Neymar, if that's a big enough attraction anymore. I know Messi's coming towards the tail end of his career. Neymar, I don't rate as highly as I used to. And Mbappe, as you mentioned a second ago, Real Madrid are feeling more and more confident about signing him. So, and then Haaland has to come and look at us and say, well, City are, they just banged in 5 against Bruges last night at the time of recording. Realistically, it could have been 9 if we had a decent striker like Haaland. He's going to look at that and say, look, City are challenger for the Premier League every single year, which, let's be real, it's the top league in Europe right now, and they're thumping teams in Europe. Let's forget about the PSG game last week. We don't talk about that. I think I still stand by City being the most attractive option for him. I'm going to say something here, and you can all tell me at home if you think I'm an absolute waffler for this, but I do know a fairly, in the know journalist. He's asked me not to give his name. Once again, you can take me with a pinch of salt if you like. He said it's kind of common knowledge in the football world right now that Raiola wants Haaland to go to City, Haaland wants Haaland to go to City, Pep wants Haaland to go to City, and City want Haaland to go to City. Like I said, take that whatever way you want, but that's just what I've been told. He's asked me not to give his name because he's more of a mixed martial arts journalist. I don't know, but like it's nice to hear those kind of things. It would show serious ambition. The Jack Grealish signing of 100 million was a huge statement. We mentioned that at the time. Spending 100 million was unheard of for City. This would be a massive, massive statement, not only to the football world right now, but to clubs like Newcastle coming down the line who are like, you know, planning to try and overtake us. Which they realistically they are. They plan it in the next 10, 15 years, I'd imagine. Signing someone like Haaland for these kind of money would show we don't plan on being budged easily. And he also is realistically the final piece to our jigsaw. Like I said, we could have scored 8 or 9 last night if we had a player like Haaland up front for us. Joe?
I did see, just to move back to the Paris point, I did see a couple of weeks ago that they are linked to Lewandowski with his contract running down. So that's a bit of an interesting point, because I think he himself will leave Bayern soon, if not at the end of his current deal. So that's one to keep an eye out for. But I mean, it's just, you're right, we genuinely could have scored 10 if we had someone like a Haaland in the team last night against Bruges. We could have scored more in so many more games if we just had someone like that. It's crazy. I just hope it happens. It sounds like every party involved wants this to happen, and it makes sense. It's just, if Paris get there first, that's the danger. Because I think he will look at that and go, it's not as a competitive league, you know, stuff like that. I think it actually dropped out of Europe's top 5 leagues. I'm pretty sure the Portuguese league overtook it just this summer gone. So I think he will look at that and go, I prefer to go to City. It's a better league, more competition. He's guaranteed to get in the team because we genuinely have no one else. I think it's the right move. It's just, you know, we just have to get in early.
I think PSG will be more aggressive about it if they identify Haaland as something that they really, really want. Knowing the nature of their owners and the manner in which they go about transfers, they'll probably be more aggressive than us. They'll be more in Dortmund's face, saying, here's the money, go to Raiola, here's the money, we'll give you what you want. But today's tweet suggests that the City are also happy to pay these extortionate wages that Raiola is looking for. So then it just comes down to a matter of what project Haaland chooses. And I think, like, I'm going to take my City cap off here for a sec and just be real as a football fan. The Premier League and Manchester City is a much more exciting prospect and project for Haaland to be a part of. And the next point I want to make is very much linked to that, which is, you said if we had a decent striker, we could get 9 or 10 goals last night. A very bang average striker for Manchester City right now would score 20-25 goals a season. How many times do we put the ball across the 6-yard box crying for an instinctful number 9 to just slide it in and tap it in, but we don't because all our players are wingers and midfielders? An average striker gets 20-25. A top striker, Erling Haaland, he is the top striker in the world right now, maybe other than Lewandowski, gets 40 goals a season. I genuinely believe that. With the way we play and the amount of chances we create, a top striker gets 40 goals for Manchester City. If he comes this summer, he's only 22 years old. He's a year younger than me. I feel so old and this guy's achieving mad things. He's a year younger than me. He's born in 2000. If he comes this summer at 22 years of age, I firmly believe if City keep playing in the way Pep, you know, likes to play and creating this amount of chances for multiple years, I think there's a big argument there for him to break Alan Shearer's all-time goal record in the Premier League. I really do believe that with the amount of chances we create. If you're regular watchers of City every week, you'll see we make chances and chances and chances. It's just a matter of putting them away. I think we beat Liverpool 2 weeks ago, good and proper, especially in the first half, if we had a decent striker, i.e. Haaland, and we'd give PSG a much better game and we thumped Chelsea. So I think City will, like, they're not City. They'll probably realise exactly what I'm saying, and they'll go balls to the wall for this guy. And it sounds like really slowly it's starting to point in that direction. Now, we said we were going to do a cut in the show and move on to the next player, but it actually kind of ties in quite nicely, which is our other alleged transfer striker target for last summer was Dusan Vlahovic. Now, obviously, he's with Fiorentina, and it says here, another tweet from Sports Witness via City Extra, thanks as always to them, that City, Juve and Atletico have an eye on the striker. But the two things above that say Dortmund will look to Vlahovic if Haaland leave next summer, and Bayern are in touch with the players' entourage last year. I think it's being teed up. It's being genuinely teed up for us to sign Haaland, Joe, and Vlahovic to possibly go to Dortmund. I don't see Bayern signing Vlahovic when they have Lewandowski, and that they can probably go and sign some other absolute beast of a German. But there seems to be a passage there for Haaland to come to us and Vlahovic to go to Dortmund. What do you think?
I hope it's that way, yeah, because I don't really want Vlahovic. I've watched him a couple of times and I don't think he's all that. But I mean, like you said, even an average striker would score loads of goals, so it'd probably be better than what we have. I think I'd rather have Torres, if I'm speaking honestly right now, than spending 80 odd million euros for his release clause, which is actually more than Haaland's. Yeah, it's a possibility because, release clause FC, we like a release clause. I think if Dortmund get a Vlahovic, he's a similar player. While he's not as good as Haaland, he's a similar player, left-footed, tall, pretty quick. So, yeah, the only other option to that is an even bigger merry-go-round where, Paris get Lewandowski and Bayern actually do get Vlahovic. That's the other option.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Dortmund will probably, in the long term, Dortmund are very much a long-term planning club. They like to get in young players or players that they feel they can get for a long time, maybe make some profit on. They'll feel if they can sell to City Erling Haaland for 75 million euros, whatever it is, and relieve themselves of the wages that he will, ultimately be looking for wherever he goes, and spend the 75 they get from Haaland on Vlahovic, who will be looking for less wages than Haaland would have been looking for, it's good business. And he will score goals in the Bundesliga. He scores plenty of goals in the Serie A. Who's to say he won't score them in the Bundesliga as well? Just before we move on to the final player of this conversation, I want to get a confidence radar here, Joe, a confidence percentage bar. I am quietly confident, more so confident now about Haaland than I was about Kane in August. If you guys watched our videos in August and July, you'd remember that I wasn't overly optimistic about the Kane signing actually happening. But we're kind of getting more leaks here and subtle pieces of information about Haaland, which is the way Raiola likes to operate, by the way, people. If you're not very up to date or you don't know Raiola very well the way he likes to operate, he's a public man. He's a showman. He likes to leak information to the papers and to journalists, which is why I do take these things a little bit more seriously when Raiola's involved than, say, with Charlie Kane being involved. So I'm going to say like 45%. 45%. I won't hit 50% until I know Raiola and City have had direct contact confirmed. Joe, where do you stand?
My hopes are getting slowly higher and higher and higher, just to probably be inevitably let down.
Hate it,
but
Joe,
I am.
We hate it. We're always let down.
We hate it. We absolutely hate it, but we're always stuck on this roller coaster. I was probably about a few weeks ago when the initial news came out about this potential Puma deal. I was probably like 5 to 10%, probably about 20% right now, which is quite a big increase, but it's good news to hear.
Yeah, so you're getting a fair idea of where I stand, my type of personality in comparisons to Joe and even Dara. Dara and Joe are quite similar. They don't like to get too ahead of themselves, except for Dara with Ronaldo in the summer. By God, he was getting very excited. But I'm generally the hopeless optimist, and they're generally kind of slightly below level-headed, slightly more pessimistic. But listen, it's very exciting. Like I said, we're probably going to do weekly transfer updates, and you can be rest assured that Haaland's name will be constantly linked with both us and other big clubs around Europe. So plenty to talk about. Anyways, we have one player, one of our own players we want to talk about. The final player we want to talk about is Raheem Sterling. Now, last time we talked about Sterling, Joe, it was about this heart-to-heart he had with Pep, saying he's happy to play in the middle and he'll give his all for the club. But it really is starting to look increasingly like his future doesn't lie in Manchester. It really does. We've heard quotes or alleged quotes from Sterling over the years that he would really like to play abroad at some stage. And now, once again, from City Extra, we have a tweet here from CF Bayern via Sport Witness this time. Man City's asking price of 50 to 60 million euro for Raheem Sterling. Scuppered any potential deal with Barcelona during the summer transfer window. Liverpool, PSG are considered to be financially strong interested parties. Now, this is where it gets quite interesting. You would imagine PSG will lose Mbappe this summer, and then let's not forget Salah is stalling, or they're struggling to get that contract over the line. So you can see why these clubs are interested. What do you think of this, Joe?
Yeah, it is interesting with the Salah and Mbappe things. I have to say, in my personal opinion, I think Salah will sign a new deal. I think Liverpool, it'd be ridiculous if they don't. He's the best player in the league right now. So I can't really see that one happening. I don't see him going back there. I don't know why he would. Paris is obviously the interesting one because they're, by the sounds of it, they're scrambling around for transfer targets for the summer when they, I'm going to say, inevitably lose Mbappe because his heart seems set in Madrid right now, playing with Benzema, national teammate. So it sounds like they're scrambling for options to try and replace him, whether it be Sterling, Vlahovic, Hart, whoever, Lewandowski. Sounds like they're scrambling a bit, and 50 to 60 million it's roughly what we signed him for, given the fact that in the summer he will only have 12 months left. I'd say it's a decent price, but I'm sort of wanting to see what happens the rest of the season before we make a decision on him, whether to sell. Because that game against Bruges yesterday, he had 25, 30 minutes. And he looked okay. He looked better. He looked like he had a bit more confidence. He was willing to take shots on, run at defenders. He got himself an assist. So I'm unsure on that one. I'm willing to give him slightly more time with this whole heart-to-heart that he's had, saying that he's going to give his all. But I'm still not sure.
It's very easy to slate Sterling at the minute, isn't it? Because he's having poor games. But you're right, he did show some glimpses of positivity and good work last night. He was getting in behind. He was probably unfortunate not to score once, maybe twice. We got some glimpses of Sterling when he was at his best a couple of years ago. But I definitely firmly stand the same boat as you, which is that I want to see him before the end of the season. Can he pick up? I still think, I said it last week, I'll stand by it. There's a good player in Sterling, and clubs like PSG, who we know they like to buy the big name players. They like to buy the marketable players who will sell lots of shirts. You best believe, what does Mbappe wears 7 for PSG, doesn't he? Sterling goes to PSG, Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, and Sterling wears 7 for PSG. Sterling 7. He's a big global figure, and he'll feel it's a new challenge. He'll probably win a couple of French leagues and have a good crack at the Champions League. So it's a realistic option, PSG. But yeah, I'd like to see how he gets on. I don't know though. Is he capable of turning it around so much that I'd be saying, nah, keep him, and then that will realistically hinder a Haaland deal? Because I think it will. City will feel a massive boost to their chances of getting Haaland would be if they could relieve themselves of Sterling's wages. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, if it's so much standing in the way of the Haaland deal, I'd happily get rid of him. I know it sounds incredibly harsh after what he's done, but it's just the truth. I think a lot of City fans would think that way. I'd rather have Haaland than Sterling at the moment. So Haaland might be at slightly higher wages, but Sterling wants higher wages if he's going to sign a new deal, or maybe slightly higher, or roughly the same. He's one of the highest paid players at the club. I'd take that. I'd really take that. If we can get 50 to 60 and then spend 75 on Haaland and get his wages, which would be similar, then I'd take that every day of the week. And as Dara likes to say, twice on a Sunday.
Twice on a Sunday. It's just the cycle of football, mate. It's just the nature of football. Football does not wait around for people. Even though we've been waiting quite a while for Sterling, and maybe this is the beginning of him getting slightly better at that Bruges game last night. He'll probably get a run out against Brighton on the weekend, and we'll see how he gets on. But yes, football does not wait around. If City feel the best business move, both off the pitch and on the pitch, is to move Sterling on to PSG or another suitor and bring in Haaland, you best believe they'll do it, because they really are top businessmen. And when Pep wants something, Pep generally gets it 8 times out of 10. Anyways, leave your thoughts down below on all the players we talked about. Haaland obviously is the most exciting one. We will continue to talk about Haaland because we're trying to manifest it into reality, and we think there's a little pinch of potential there for it to be actually happening. So let us know your thoughts down below on Haaland. How could Vlahovic affect this? He will probably have some say in it. Maybe he'll go to Dortmund if Vlahovic or if Haaland comes to us. And then, of course, the one we talk about every week, because he is a big name and he's a man who's given us some great memories, and we can only hope he picks up again, Raheem Sterling. Let us know your thoughts down below. Please leave a like on the video. It helps us more than you can imagine. If you leave a like on the video, we're so close to 500 subs, and subscribe if you're new, of course. We'll see you very soon with the next update.